Hey, Kins and Herbies, welcome back. It's Tennille Crystal, and this is a collective energy reading for the yellow Kins. So that's yellow sun, yellow star, yellow warrior, yellow human, and yellow seed. So when we're talking about the progression of colors, we go red, white, blue, yellow. So yellow is about expression. Once you move through the first three colors, by the time you get to yellow, you should be ripe. Everyone should see all of the work that you've been working on because it comes through these yellow energies. All right, so let's see what we have. As your main energy, we have Five of Cups and limiting beliefs. Five of Cups is the energy of feeling heartache and loss and grief and regret, right? And so this is being in relationships or committing yourself to jobs or anything that you thought would fulfill you, but instead at the end your cup is knocked over and everything you poured into it has been wasted. That's that grief and that sorrow. You know, that's when we can kind of feel like we're at our weakest point. And it hurts, you know, that it's an emotional pain that the Five of Cups is revealing to us. And limiting beliefs can say, if you go through heartache and emotional loss and turmoil, that can become a traumatic experience. And so when we have limiting beliefs, it's hard to expand what love could be in our life when we've only gotten this version. Right? And so over time, it changes the way we think about love, the way we feel about love. How do we connect to people? On the limiting beliefs card, you know, it's a beautiful flower that's trapped in like a concrete cage. And so that flower is never going to be able to expand because it's not in its right element, right? It's literally set up in a space for where it won't thrive. And so sometimes the relationships and the heartache, those are indications that we are aligning ourselves to people, places, and things that are not going to be able to pour back into us like we've poured into them. But the reason why that keeps happening is because we haven't changed our mind, right? We keep reading these experiences as if this is all we're worth, as if this is all we're ever going to get. Now, beneath limiting beliefs, you have green, and green is talking about the heart chakra, love, health, balance, compassion, nurturing nature. And so this is a story of your heart. This is your heart going through a change. It's going through a shift, and it's healing. The beautiful energy, the helper, what's helping you while you have the star card, which is literally light in the dark. And that's exactly what comes up for you. Spirit saying, you know, don't lose hope. Anything that you desire also desires you. The Five of Cups has 3 cups that are totally wasted. But the beautiful thing is that behind the person, you know, that's sobbing are 2 cups still standing. And so never think that the last thing or the last failure was the only thing that you'll ever receive. But unfortunately, if that is the belief we hold, it becomes true. And so you're being asked to adjust your mind and to adjust your heart. We want our heart and our mind to be on the same page. So when our heart is in pain, somehow your mind has to be wise counsel. You know, your mind has to be able to tell your heart that it's okay to love. It's okay to try again. This is not the end for us, right? And so Spirit's message is saying the thing that can help you is for you to realize that anything taken away wasn't supposed to stay. Right? Prior to the star card in tarot is the tower. The tower falls when it is built on something that's not long standing. It did not have the potential to weather the storms. And that could be a relationship, a job, anything we loved, anything we poured ourselves into. If it fell, it was supposed to fall because that was not the thing. That isn't the thing. Right? It was supposed to build you up or grow you in some way. We have the number 7, which is the most spiritual number in numerology. The purpose of those emotional pains and emotional traumas is to get you to go within, to become aware of yourself, right? And every time one of those cups knock over and we start to grieve and regret, what we should do is collect the wisdom. What did this teach me, right? I don't have to believe less about myself because I was in an experience that gave me less. It just wasn't a reflection of me, but what was I supposed to gain from it? Your guide energy gives you the Page of Pentacles and the unknown. So a Page of Pentacles is like a youthful energy. It's like you've just got this opportunity, and however this opportunity goes is really up to you. It's up to your mindset. It's up to how motivated you are, how willing you are to pull yourself into it. And you can't have a new opportunity and convince yourself that you already know where things are going to end up. You have to imagine that every time you get a pentacle, every time you meet someone new, every time you create something new, every time you get a chance to move forward, you have to imagine that you've never experienced anything like this before, right? And so although we may have train wrecks in our past, we kind of have to imagine, well, that was the last train wreck, you know. You have to set your mind up for success. Now, your heart already knows that. You know, sometimes the mind doesn't understand the greatness and the magnitude of what the heart is capable of. Now, beneath the unknown, it says, I have not acted hastily or without thought. And so this is saying, don't be so quick to judge what you don't know yet. And definitely don't use past failures to judge what's coming in the future, right? Because then we kind of create this cycle that we can't get out of. And so you're being asked to stay hopeful, right? To keep the faith. It only takes a mustard seed, right? Just keep the faith and somehow find gratitude in anything that has fallen apart. The strength that it has given you, the mastery that it has created within you is something that you could have only gotten by way of experience. Now, what's challenging you? We have the Lover's highest self, and then we have the color indigo, our third eye chakra. So you are being asked to see things not from a human or an earthly perspective, but to really tap into your highest self. The Lover's card says that a choice in love, right? Am I going to choose to connect to someone? Am I going to choose to blend my energies with another person, place, or thing? Or am I going to be independent, right? Am I going to join, or am I going to stay isolated? And you can, but we should try to look at this from our inner wisdom. We should try to perceive these options to connect with other people from a place where we never knew what pain was. And that's so easy to say, but God knows the things that we've endured and the lessons that people have taught us by way of pain. It's unlike anything, you know? But that's your challenge. Love like you've never been hurt, essentially, right? And your hidden power, you have the Fool card and play. So the Fool card is like, okay, clean slate. It's time to be a fool, which nobody wants to be a fool. But the only way to gain wisdom is to be a fool. You leave the pain, you leave the heart, you leave the regret, you leave the sorrow, and you're saying, I'm going to go do it again. I'm going to jump off the next cliff, right? The Fool card in traditional tarot, he's standing on the cliff. He's got his little satchel. You're about to take an entire journey and all you have is a satchel? Yes, because that's your wisdom. That's your inner knowing, right? And it doesn't weigh a lot. Think about the scales of Ma'at. One side is the heart and one side is the feather. And the point is that you can't cross into the next version of life unless your heart is as light as a feather. Now, the things that your heart has endured may feel like it is, encased in cement, right? But then we're doing something wrong. We're not taking the beauty of the pain. Pain can be beautiful if you let it, right? It can teach something. And most of us are going to go through testimonies in order to teach and help another. And so sometimes it's really not always directly about us, right? If you carry it, it's because you could stand to carry it. But this is not over. This is not over, Yellow. In the end, you have the Fool card and you have play. Whenever play comes up, immediately, literally play. Inner child, innocence, children, they don't know how to not love. Now, we can teach them how to fear. We can teach them how to hold back. We can teach them all of these things to be afraid of. But a child in their most pure form is the closest thing to God. But they also just love and talk and join. They don't know difference. They only know what it feels like to have a good time, and they're just so inclusive. When I see this play card, I'm going to give you 3 suggestions, whether you are in a new connection or you're wanting to bring in a new connection. The connection that matters most is the one with yourself, right? And so tap into the version of you when you were little and innocent and you had no idea what pain was. And so Spirit's saying, play, just play, right? When things seem too challenging, just play. Give yourself relief, and it's okay to heal. It's okay to hurt. So when I see the play card, it makes me think of Play-Doh, paint, and popsicles. Those are like 3 throwbacks from childhood for me personally. Maybe you have 3 specific things, but literally, if you're on a date or if you're hanging out with somebody, even if it's just yourself, play with Play-Doh. Get some popsicles, pop them in the freezer, and, eat them in bed. Paint, finger paint, watercolors. Doesn't have to be anything expensive. Dollar Tree possesses all of these things. And then finally, we have don't make assumptions. Now, my handmade deck, I pull from all the things that I've learned about. And so the don't make assumptions card comes from a book, The 4 Agreements. And so this agreement is said to be the most important. Never make an assumption. That is so important when you are in a relationship with someone else. If you have a question, find the courage to ask, right? If you want something, feel something, need to say something, don't understand something, express what you really want. A child doesn't know how to hold back. They are the most honest people. They will ask you why you're fat. They will ask you why your nose looks like that, right? They will tell you what they want and what they don't want. And respectfully and tactfully revert back to that version of yourself when you are in a relationship with other people. Even if you need to sit with self and have the courage to ask yourself certain questions, right? Sadness, drama, and misunderstandings can be avoided if we felt more comfortable in asking. It's okay to be a fool, right? Be a fool again. And I mean that in a loving way. I'm using the energy of the Fool card. But literally, be at play in spirit, and then act like you don't know anything, even though you've endured a lot. Imagine you didn't. Create again. And this, don't make assumptions, is like the most transformational piece of advice that book has given. Never assume, just ask. And anybody that's in your life should have the patience to answer. I mean, as long as you're showing up in a respectful way, and you're just very vulnerable. And sometimes, God, that is a challenge to be vulnerable. But if you love yourself, you can give yourself the best outcome. And sometimes being vulnerable is being a child, not being afraid to say what you think, you feel, you want, you desire, right? Without the emotional upheaval. It's okay to want something or to want to understand something different. And, obviously we would love to have a partner that has the patience to sit with us and to explain those things. But you have to do it with yourself first, if that's the kind of energy that you'd like to bring in. Okay? All right, yellows, thank you so much, and I'll see you for the next reading.